Still awake yet from that dinosaur? I know I would. So refreshing. So wow. That was directed by the director of Kong Skull Island, Peter Jackson, with his visual effects team at Weta Visual Effects. They can also design many projects with Marvel. They did the visual effects for Avengers, Endgame, and Infinity War, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and they also did visual effects for the HBO series The Last of Us, and the newest Warner Brothers movie, Superman, as well. So we made a lot of really immersive experiences on board.
Experience where the audience is in the middle of the environment. They're looking in all directions. There's creatures coming at them. They're seeing Kong from this side and T-Rexes from the other side. Working on a movie, we always know where people are looking straight ahead. The shot that we're working on. Here you have to take into account that people are looking in all directions. Also, one of the things about this ride, unlike the movies that we're used to working on, there's no cuts because it's one giant shot. This tram that's driving along through Skull Island is where the camera's from. This ring represents where the screen is 10 meters away. The original creation about 50 minutes of a feature film. That amount of visual information, that number of pixels, it doesn't get into you. It's a hell of a ride.
On our left-hand side, real quick, I wanted to point out these bunches of trailers. This is what we call a base camp, and it's called a base camp for St. Denis Medical. So when you're an actor on set, you come in, you check in with what we call a production coordinator, production assistant. You'll head into these trailers. It's kind of where you live throughout the production. So you'll come in, you'll check in at your trailer. You might get your hair, your costume ready. Then you'll head to one of the trailers where you'll get your hair and makeup done. You'll head back to the trailer, you'll change it into your costumes. Then you'll start to head to set where you will start to film different productions or whatever we are going to be filming here on our lot. The director will put you in a scene, fill you in wherever you're going to be, and you can shoot from anywhere from as early as about 8 hours to anywhere as long as 20 hours. So it depends on the production and what we're going to be shooting for that day. Also depends if it's a television show, movie, whatever different productions we are. So as I mentioned, these are what we call facades. So as they are just the fronts, and what they do is you can actually come in, set decorators, set dressers, can change these, and they can add like different lighting fixtures. You also have a greens department. They are actually in charge of changing all of the different foliage here. So if they're filming something, it needs to look like it's on the East Coast. And they will change the different trees out with trees that you would build and have on the East Coast. That way we can look like it's fall, or the red, orange, make it change different kinds of climates as well. So there's a lot that goes into making movies possible. And without our monster movies, Universal would not be able to make these movies possible. So on your right hand side, in just a moment, my friends, because Universal Studios is the home of the horror movie and the monster movie. There's this absolutely incredible mural on your right hand side. There she is, honoring all of our movie monsters. So you're seeing the Wolfman, the creature from the Black Lagoon, Frankenstein's monster and his bride. And at the end, of course, you see Dracula, blah, blah, blah. This is painted by an artist named Tristan Eaton. My friends, this entire mural is spray paint. They spray painted this mural for us, incredible LA street artists, to really honor our movie monsters here.
And an instrumental part of the process of designing these murals was getting to go to the Universal Archive. Going there, I got to see first-hand props from the movies, photos from behind the scenes, original illustrations from those movie posters, all this stuff. I had an early affection for movie monsters. I was always fascinated by the magic behind making movies. But I fell in love with zombie movies and monster movies as a young kid. My world that I come from is skateboarding, graffiti, comic books. You always had to pay homage to where that art form started. And for me, it started doing stuff in the street illegally. Tagging billboards and dumpsters. Without that, I never would be here, even spray paint like this.
Jumping out of our monster movies for just a moment, soundtakes 30, 31, 32, and 33 have been used simultaneously for The Voice season 28. So actually, we just wrapped season 27 of The Voice. Already filming season 28. Got some great coaches, Reba McEntire, Michael Bublé, Snoop Dogg, and Niall Horan from One Direction is one of the coaches on The Voice this year as well. So got a great lineup for some great coaches. But we're going to jump back. We actually have another anniversary of a movie here on our lawn. Came out in 1975. Scary audiences so much that they missed it back to the water for quite a long time. It's Jaws. Jaws is celebrating its 50th anniversary, and so for that, I give you Captain Quint.
Welcome down the island. Now I am catch fish, catfish. I'm here to offer my services. Problem is, Mayor Vaughn doesn't seem to be believing that he's got a 25-foot, 3-ton, 8-by shark swimming in his waters. Now, he can hire me and be in business for the summer, or he can play it cheap. Let old Officer Georgie try to handle it. Poor Georgie.
I don't know, Quint. I think it's going to be fine. I mean, look how beautiful it is. It's easy breezy Amity Island. What could go wrong? I mean, there's an adorable little shark that we caught. Look at him, he's smiling at us, rows of teeth. One thing doing too crazy, no scary music. Oh no. Oh no, that's not good. Okay, my friend George is in the water, everybody, so we gotta make sure he gets out of there because I'm not about to get into the water. Oh, that's George. He did not get out of there. Oh gosh. Okay, George, there's the boat right there, buddy. Swim, George. Save your life. Oh, poor George. That was his first day of work and his last day of work. But you know, we're just going to hide behind this dock full of a lot of flammable liquids. I think that's a really good idea for all of us on board. Nothing says safety like gasoline. We're going to see if the sharks can take some of our bait. Here we go. Okay, well now we should have no other issues, I promise. Everything's gonna be fine. Nothing else except for the shark. Watch out for one more for you. It's a dolphin. That is our lovely Bruce the shark. He is named after Steven Spielberg's Lawyers to talk about a shark in the water. Thank you for my 2 pity laps. Everybody say happy birthday to Bruce. He's 50 this year. He looks so good for his age. He's got a great plastic surgeon. He almost looks fake because he is. Bruce actually worked a lot better on our studio tour than he did during the actual filming of Jaws. Because on the very first day of filming Jaws, they had a mechanical shark exactly like Bruce, but he actually malfunctioned and he sunk to the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean on the very first day of filming, counting them to call it production flaws. But we're glad that Bruce did end up working out because we have Jaws to thank for being our first summer blockbuster. Jaws is actually our first summer blockbuster movie. It was supposed to be released in December of 1974. Filming pushed it back about 5 months and ended up being released in July of 1975. Directed by Steven Spielberg, of course. And as one of our practical effects here on our studio tour. And now we're going to show you another practical effect. Weather. We're going to show you how we make storms on film and television. Promise we don't just sit around and wait for the rain to happen, we make it happen ourselves. So what we do here is we use these big old lovely systems that we are calling sprinkler systems because real rain actually does not show up well on camera. So our sprinklers are very important because they're about an inch or 2 thicker than normal raindrops. There they are, beautiful. About an inch or 2 thicker than normal raindrops. So what we do is we angle the camera just a little bit lower than the top of the sprinkler system. That way it looks like it's raining when it's not. And then we will use a flash box to create our lightning. And then we'll use this what we call a sound system to make thunder. That's actually how we make storms on film and television. It can also increase the intensity depending on the genre. Okay, but I'm not gonna lie, it should have stopped. And that's not good. I don't think we're calling for more rain in the forecast, but you know, what's a little bit of rain? We are in Southern California, it's always not gonna be a crazy time. What is that? I'm so sorry. Did I not mention that this is a water ride? Whoops. That is our Flash Flood. That is the first attraction built for the studio tour back in 1968. So we've seen in films like Big Fat Liar with Paul Giamatti and Frankie Muniz and Amanda Bynes, as well as Lady Gaga's Judas music video was also filmed in Flash Flood. And then she just kind of moseyed right on over to what we call our Old Mexico, where she filmed the rest of her Judas music video. Old Mexico has also been seen in Nacho Libre with Jack Black, as well as The Three Amigos starring Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Chevy Chase. So it's been used for a lot of different projects as well. Star Trek Picard, also filmed right here in our lovely Old Mexico. But you know what? I'm getting a little tired of Old Mexico. I think we're gonna mosey right away and into our Wild West. Can I get a yeehaw? Thank you for doing that, everybody. I really appreciated it. Welcome to 6 Points. This is 6 Points. It used to have 6 different streets where you could go 6 different Western films on at one time. We do still use it. It was used in Quentin Tarantino's 9th film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This opera house on your left-hand side is where young Julia Butters consoles Leonardo DiCaprio as he cries about his career troubles. Been there, buddy. It's also been used as Australia in Disney's Saving Mr. Banks, as well as a Western set in Marvel's Agent Carter. Howard Stark buys the set to use it as a Western set. And as we sit here for just a second, I'm going to let you guys in on a little Hollywood secret. Not many people know this, and now all 140 of you will know this, and that is called bonding. So take a look inside of some of these doorways. You might notice that some are a little bit taller than others, some are a little bit shorter. So here's the little secret. When we were filming our Wild West films, a lot of our cowboys were actually a lot shorter than their female co-stars. So they would put them in the much shorter doorways. That way they'd appear taller and more like they towered over our female co-stars. We were putting the much taller doorways to appear smaller and more like they needed saving. Oh, the 1940s. They also used to fill in this road with dirt, and they would dig a trench for the women to walk alongside the men, because the men didn't look like they could ride a horse. We're going to move from the past back into the future, everybody. Don't you worry. We're going to talk a little bit more about our monster movies. Before we head up back into our monster movies, a lot of these sets actually in our 6 Points area, I know we mentioned facades a little bit earlier. These are called practical sets, meaning we can film inside and outside of them. So we can even add running water. We can add furniture inside to make it look as authentic as possible when we're filming inside and outside. We can even add stairs and a second floor sometimes as well. But I'm going to go back to our monster movies for just a moment. You're going to see this big body of water in just a moment. It's so beautiful. Look how huge it is. Wow, so cool. That is where The Creature from the Black Lagoon was filmed. Just celebrated its 71st anniversary. That is where they filmed that Creature from the Black Lagoon, right there in our lovely Hollywood ocean that we like to call it. So it's actually, Creature from the Black Lagoon is technically what we call our last monster movie. It is the last of the Universal monsters to really get that great into our subconscious.
That to me was like the essence of the universe. Mesmerized. Boris Karloff, Lon Chaney. I remember the original Universal Studios Mummy movie. It was scary.
They still wait on movies now. They love them.
All right, my friends, guess what? We're going to head towards the part of the studio where we first saw a lot of our movie monsters for the very first time as they burst onto our screen, scared all of our theater goers so much, but they just kept coming back for more and more and more. So welcome, my friends, to Little Europe. This is where all of our monster movies were born. It was Transylvania in Dracula. It was Wales in The Wolfman. It was Egypt in The Mummy. Once again, if movie monsters are not quite your thing, we are on The Afterlife from The Good Place, as well as Genovia from The Princess Diaries 2 Royal Engagement. They also filmed Cinderella starring Brandy and Whitney Houston right here. Lady Gaga's most recent music video was also filmed here on our lot in Little Europe. If these cobblestone streets could talk, you know what they'd say? Nothing, they're fake. They can't say anything. But I made you think about it, didn't I?
You, Oliver Shellstrop, are deaf.
I've never ever seen this.
I'm not supposed to be here. I can't risk going to the bad place.
Maybe it's not all that bad.
Yeah, I'm gonna help you.
Is the bad place?
Doesn't seem awesome.
This area on the right-hand side is also where we first saw Frankenstein's monster for the very first time, as he burst out through these archways, scared all of our villagers so much that they grabbed their torches and their pitchforks and formed an angry mob. All right, my friends, we are about halfway through our studio tour, so once again a reminder to please remain seated, keeping your hands and feet inside the tram at all times, holding your valuables close to you. Once again, if you do drop anything off the side of the tram or you have any sound or video issues, please do reach up and pull that red cord, and I'll be back to assist you as soon as it is safe to do so. Otherwise, please do remain seated throughout the entirety of our tour, and welcome to a soundstage. This is what soundstages look like inside. Oh my gosh, this looks really cool. It's dressed up for a nice production that's been going through here. Looks like it's dressed up for a San Francisco subway station. So if you're from San Francisco and you're feeling a little homesick today, welcome home. This is what we call a hot set, meaning it's dressed and ready for the cameras to be rolling and the director to call action. I'm so sorry, that was not supposed to happen, everybody, so please hang on, it's not good. Of course we knew that was going to happen. That was Earthquake, the big one. That attraction opened in 1989, actually just reopened pretty recently. So we were here a couple of years ago and this was closed. They were doing a lot of refurbishments to it to really bring it into the 21st century. Inspired by the classic film Earthquake. And now, my friends, we're going to say goodbye to Bruce the Shark one last time. Don't worry, we're not going to hang out with him one more. I promise. We're going to go past him. And we're going to hear from the director himself. You know him, Mr. Steven Spielberg.
The Jaws ride was almost the inevitable result of the size of the box office when Jaws first opened in June of 1975. And that was really the first time I ever got involved in the creation of a ride. It was a great honor to be invited into this great circle of tremendous designers who were trying to figure out how to replicate what the movie had done to audiences in a real way by building a physical shark that would come out of the water and terrify tourists as they were sitting in the crowd. And the most amazing thing about the Jaws ride is it is exactly as it was
from the time it was first placed on the Universal lot. There have been tweaks, of course, over the years, but it is essentially what the designers and myself all envisioned and created. I'm done bashing the shark. Thank you, George, for everything you've done for me. But I will say, consistently, the shark did work much better on the tour than it did in the Atlantic Ocean in 1974.
It certainly did, Stephen, but we're so glad that it did because they actually ended up going through about 4 mechanical sharks until they were able to actually film the rest of the production. And now, my friends, I'm very excited. We have not gone down this road in a very long time because they were actively filming something here. So this is Colonial Street, or for my Desperate Housewives fans, this is Wisteria Lane from the Desperate Housewives. They were recently filming a brand new remake of the classic 1989 film The Burbs up here. This new version is starring Jack Whitehall and Keke Palmer. So very excited up here. This is one of Hollywood's most popular neighborhoods to film in. It's been used for a lot of different productions, Never Have I Ever, as well as Ted Season 1 and 2, Leave It to Beaver, Candy Cane Lane with Eddie Murphy, where they made it very Christmassy. It was absolutely hilarious to see that in the middle of July. And as well as Casper, starring Christina Ricci, which is celebrating, by the way, its 30th anniversary this year. It's a lot easier to film on our Colonial Street than it is to actually film in a real neighborhood. Because if you've ever seen Desperate Housewives, they like to light things on fire, meaning houses. And that would not fly in a real neighborhood. So what they do is you can do this and you can actually film and change all of the different things. And you can rebuild very quickly to make it look as though everything is fine in this New Jersey, in this suburban neighborhood at all times. These houses are also all practical, so we can film inside and outside of them. And that's furniture. The first floor is completely practical. The second floor is not completely practical as well. But we're turning back on to Steven Spielberg Drive, who has a very long history with our studio tour, dating back when he was a
My
teenager.
entire career began with my relationship with Universal Studios just as a high school kid on a tour bus. Remember, in those days, there weren't trams, there were buses called the Gray Line Tour Bus. And I was so excited and thrilled to be on the lot. It was my first time ever on a movie studio lot. And during a bathroom break, I hid in the bathroom. When everybody left to get back on the bus, I waited another 15 minutes until I'm sure the bus left. And then I had the entire lot to myself that day. And in those days, movie lots were so crowded because all movies were made on film lots. Today they're made all over the world, on location, but most of us focused in those days, in the 60s, on the film lots. So nobody noticed me when I was going around from soundstage to soundstage, and I really felt, in my own young way, I owned the lot and had the most amazing day of my life.
Well, Stephen, you basically do own the lot, so much so that we're going to get to see some of what we call picture cars of yours. These are really cool. They are cars dressed and ready for a picture. They're going to be on your left-hand side. Please disregard the construction on your right. That is for Halloween Horror Nights for our Terror Tram. But on your left-hand side are picture cars. You're seeing an original Universal Studios Glamour Tram, which used to take around the lot back in the 1960s. Some of the cars from the Jurassic franchise, Flintstones, Transformers, and Fast and Furious as well. We can actually remove the engines out of these cars when we want to do any stunt performance with them. So what we'll do is we'll attach our cars up to a rigging system so we can crash them into planes, trains, and automobiles. And then we'll reattach the engines to our cars, that way they can be road accessible, so they are able to drive on the road at any given time as well. Our picture cars are very important because it also has to do with the style of the movie that you're making. You want to make a 1950s era movie, you want a 1950s era car. So there's a lot of really cool stuff and research that goes into making movies here. Oh, you know what? There is a motel right here. I wonder if some of those people in that car just needed to stop off for tonight. But they did find a red paint splatter in one of the rooms pretty recently, so they might have just been cleaning that out. Oh my goodness. Of course, my friends, that is the iconic Bates Motel from Alfred Hitchcock's film Psycho, which, by the way, is also celebrating its 65th anniversary this year. That movie's been out for 65 years. It was one of the original sets you could see here on our studio tour, directed by the master of suspense Alfred Hitchcock. Now, we're gonna go see an actual other set from Psycho, Norman Bates' house. This is the actual set. It was first placed here in the lot back in 1960. As we roll on through, say hello to my friend Mother in the second story window. I love her. She rocks. She's the best. She could use a little bit of moisturizer, but couldn't we all sometimes? It was originally just the front and the right side of the house. They built the left and the back for the sequels to Psycho. So this is one of the first things you could see on our lot for a very long, long time. It's actually just a facade. Oh my goodness. If my backyard looked like this, I would be upset too. I mean, this is a disaster zone. Because it is. It is the crash site from War of the Worlds, directed by Steven Spielberg, starring Tom Cruise and Dakota Fanning. My friends, that is a real 747 plane that they purchased. They took it out to the desert, ripped it apart, and drove it back up here on flatbed trucks. That plane only appears in about 5 minutes of the actual movie.
Is probably the
you sit down to talk about Florida. I thought, what if the 747 was on right in a big neighborhood?
because it's just something you don't see.
You're doing good. You're doing good. Keep noticing me. Listen, I want you to close your eyes, okay? Now close.
Hay quá, họ đóng hay quá. Thấy không em? Lâu vậy về.
Robbie, get in.
Why?
Get in.
I don't think Robbie wants to get in. And I can't say I blame him. Steven Spielberg, whenever he was filming War of the Worlds, he actually originally learned a lesson from his editor on Jaws, Verna Fields, who was the first woman to win an Oscar for editing. She actually convinced him that sometimes the scariest things are what you don't see. So you never actually see the plane crash, you just see a very frightening aftermath of what happened. And my friends, real quick, also, we are about 10 to 15 minutes away from the end of our tour. So, when we're going to be turning the theme park in about 10 to 15 minutes, please, once again, a reminder to remain seated, and that red emergency cord is there for you in case you have a medical emergency. But we work with a lot of really cool directors here at Universal Studios. From Steven Spielberg to Alfred Hitchcock to one of my personal favorites, Mr. Jordan Peele. So welcome to the actual set from his film, Nope.
Movie magic only happens when a team of collaborators, often in the hundreds, work together to take an impossible mission and bring it to life. This is Jupiter's Planet, a nostalgic, small-time Southern California amusement park owned by former Child star Ricky G. Park. Over there, look into the Winky Room. Have your picture taken just like the kids in that old 90s movie Kid Show. That's what this whole place is loosely based on. Remember that one? No? Why? A little further down, you can see the brand new Star Lasso's beams. Showcasing an unbelievable live show. Behind this outdoor fence, Rush Frontier Town lies a sinister secret. Welcome to the world of no.
Yeah, no, Davey, I think we should Jordan Peele on out of here. Well, that is a really great example of our sound design. So that's how we use sound on film and television to create the very frightening ambiance that a giant cloud shaped like a cowboy hat named Jean Jacket is going to be coming after you. So please don't look up at the sky. I don't want to lose anybody else today. It's a lot of paperwork. It's just a lot. All right, my friends. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we have reached the end of our tour. Everybody say, "Aww." Everybody give a round of applause to our driver, Davey. So thank you, Davey. Thank you all so much for coming on our studio tour today. My name has been Julia. If you enjoyed the tour, thanks, Davey. If you did not enjoy the tour, my name is Amy. Enjoy the rest of your day here at Universal Studios Hollywood. Thank you all so much for celebrating our mega movie summer with us this year as well. If you'd like to continue celebrating, you can catch a picture with Bruce the Shark at the entrance to Waterworld. You might also run a Jeep Brody and Captain Quint. Also, I highly recommend Waterworld. It's a great show. And you can continue to stream Jaws and celebrate the 50th anniversary on our streaming